The worst case scenario for Spurs would be Harry Kane leave for free and go to a Premier League rival next summer. Now, what would be slightly better, but still would be terrible for Spurs, would be if he was sold to a Premier League rival in this window. But what is interesting is, yes, Bayern are probably the front runners now, but I wonder what Manchester United are thinking right now, because he, going into this summer, was the top priority. Erik ten Hag saw him as the dream fit, and why wouldn't you, considering what he did last season? 30 Premier League goals and a side that really struggled, had all the issues off the field as well. And Manchester United, when they realised that Daniel Levy's stance was simply a case of we're not selling to a Premier League rival, they didn't want to spend the whole summer trying to convince him otherwise and persuade him to try to sell. And they thought that if any deal was to be done with Spurs, it would be towards the end of the window. So rather than put all their eggs in one basket of Harry Kane, they're now looking at players like Rasmus Højlund. But if the door is potentially being opened somewhat, then Man United, you'd think, if financially they're in a position to do so, will try and go after Harry Kane.
Sam, you know what I'm going to ask you, though, don't you? Everyone knows what I'm going to ask you. If he goes to Bayern Munich, what about Alan Shearer's Premier League record?
I mean, he can always come back. You know, he can come back to Spurs. It will probably be easier for him to go back to a Premier League rival if he goes to Bayern Munich and then wins a few trophies, comes back to like a Chelsea or United, and you know he needs 58 goals to beat his record. And I think if we're looking at the age limit of some of these top players, Ronaldo and Messi, they'll play until they're 37, 38. I don't see why Kane can't do that. He's not over-reliant on pace. He's an instinctive finisher. So I don't think he should be that fearful. It depends on what his priority is. Is it to, get that record? He's already Spurs' top goal scorer. Or is it, to win trophies and be seen as one of the best strikers in the world with that cabinet to show for it as well?
And how would Tottenham go about replacing Harry Kane, whether it's now or next summer?
Simply, they can't replace him. I think he's probably the most irreplaceable player maybe in Premier League history. If Tottenham have to replace him, I think he's that good.
Oh, Sam doesn't agree.
I can't, off the top of my head, on Henry when he left Arsenal, but I can't think of anyone else who'd be harder to replace. That output that he has had, his entirety of his Spurs career, is borderline ridiculous. It's phenomenal the amount of goals he's scored since he's been at Tottenham. The whole team is built around him. If you take him out, look at how other players dovetail around him. Son's game's going to suffer. He suffered last season anyway, but Son's game will suffer if Kane's not there.
Could be a mid-table team without Harry Kane, maybe.
Well, they already were last season, in fairness, not far off it. But Kane's the leader as well. He's probably about to become the captain because Lloris looks like he's moving on. There's so many things within there that Tottenham just wouldn't be able to replace. The only Premier League striker I could think of who's close that they'd be able to replace him with would be Ivan Toney, but he can't play.
They can get
season.
players to chip in, though. They don't need someone to necessarily replace that, to be that man to score 30 goals. But if they get a few wide men that are proven goal scorers, obviously it's difficult to replace these type of strikers, but you're going to have to do it sooner rather than later. So it's better you think of that plan rather than be desperate when he does make the move and then you're scrambling.
They'd be rushed into it now. If they had to do it now, I don't believe at this moment in time there's a contingency plan. If they lost him now, they'd be scrambling around trying to get some money in. And we've seen Spurs previously, when they've had money to spend to replace a real key player, they've struggled to do it.